Hello all. We've had a lot of stuff tonight, talking about inspiration, work, everything else. But right now, to cap it all off, I'm going to talk about how inspiration and community, or inspiration and design, and art and creativity develop a community. Design and the arts have been shaping a force for ideas that have connected communities and human lives to each other. Communities are forged and influenced by thousands of designs and art pieces to give some perspective on that. I want each of you to raise your hand if you have a smartwatch, a phone, furniture in your home. Look at all of that. It's all of us. Each and every single one of us take inspiration from our world, from our surroundings, and incorporate them into our personalities, shaping who we are, who our children are, and what our personal communities look like each day. Clearly, we all find that great value in these tools, but how often have you looked at and thought, hey, who created that? And how often have you appreciated their work? I bet most of us take it for granted each day. Hi, my name's Cottengim, and I was a designer and an artist for my senior learning experience. Now I worked within this building, a few doors down, new wing, in the Genius Lab, with Alicia. She's in here, maybe in here today, right in the back. Right now, our makerspace at Remsel was just started, and it helps Remsel students realize their creative dreams. And during my internship, I helped them realize those dreams. Each student artist that entered that classroom had an idea, such as a tree with a full root system, a snail with some bits of grass that's a simple desk design, or a bird that they just saw out in the wild. As a community, we distilled raw data, raw creativity and imagination into tangible items. Over my SLE working in the lab, I learned so many new skills, such as how to design 2D objects that can be pieced together like a puzzle into a 3D work of art. I also learned how to use a Glowforge laser cutter, something that can cut out these flat planes of ideas. And I also learned how to manage students and kids of all ages. And it was something so envisionary to do that. Go from a senior in high school down to the level of a teacher. Not down, but insane level. You know what I mean. We all love our teachers, but sometimes they can get annoying, right? But my major point that I learned from that is how to lead students through the creative design process of their own projects. In school, we build thousands of projects, be it a short essay or something as big as a sculpture outside. But some class that really inspired me was our first graders here. Kids who are just starting out their lives. And to capture that kid's creativity, I taught the Genius Lab and Makerspace how to harness and make their ideas come true, how to go through that creative design process and bring a sheet of paper into reality. Showing them an example of my design process, we explored multiple ideas I developed and how I changed them. And I went from step 1 to step 2 to step 17 until I was okay with it. And I changed how much I taught them, just in the idea of what they should be like. And the first grade class, I showed them how to create basic bird silhouettes from the birds that they just started learning in their first class just the previous month. And I really like to explore just the beginning to the end of their design process, developing an idea into something tangible. In a little more depth, I first led them through a few exercises where they observed photographs of birds that they found out locally. And they would sketch those photographs into their own ideas of how that bird should look, from an eagle to something much larger than an eagle should be, to something as small as a tiny hummingbird where it's effective and small, that they can still know what it is. And as they sketched out their interpretations of their own birds, they began to go into their own revision processes. And when I saw this, I saw that their community was already well built enough that they could take inspiration and feedback from their peers and not get defensive about it. And they took that feedback and applied it with no restraint. And that inspired me. It impressed me to see how much their peers inspired their final drafts. Seeing the seedlings of their designs start to grow out and change was beautiful. Next, I was talking about the revision process. They created multiple drafts from their first draft down to their second draft, and they took inspiration from their peers, working towards their end goal. Now, if this revision process was them deciding if they liked their work, as we all know, our projects can sometimes get lost in the dilemma of if I like it, if this is useful, if this works. And this first grade class was able to go through that process and decide which designs they liked. And I saw that their community developed more and more as they went through this. Ooh, my cards are upside down now. Oh no. Taking in feedback is the hardest thing a designer can do. It's the hardest thing we all can do. But seeing how receptive they were to each other's work, it helped me understand and internalize the value of feedback in a community. As they created their working designs, they next created a second and third drafts. And next, they created their final drafts, still modifying it even after they thought it was done, because our work is never done. And they changed their ideas to fit better with how they thought it should be. Drawing inspiration from each aspect of their own life, from even new birds that they saw, and finalizing how they thought a bird should look. And as they submitted their designs, Alicia and I took a vote with the class, trying to find out the 4 best birds, because you can't take all 25, 28 students' birds and cut it out on a laser cutter, because then they're gonna not like it, or they're gonna get it mixed up. You can't just do that. Kids will get upset. But as they decided on the ones that they wanted, and said, hey, this one's nice, I took on the responsibility, or not really took on the responsibility, was forced to take on the responsibility of recreating their designs in a digital form, taking their ideas from paper to the next level. I worked hard to apply my skills of design and apply it to their works, trying to improve it just slightly, creating something that was still functional yet simple. And as I finished their designs, I was happy with not my work, but their work, because I wasn't a creator on this. I was just an editor, another part of their peer feedback. Through this process, Alicia mentored me, designing better and becoming a better teacher. She showed me that design doesn't stop at the drawing board, doesn't stop right at the table. It continues out into the world around us. We take a walk outside and we see a sculpture that another artist made. We see these new ideas that another person has added out there and taken in, and we have taken in. And the best way to become part of that inspiration is to create something we know as a community. A community that can give and develop through time. Alicia was able to teach that to the kids each day, and she taught creating a community that inspired others, not just their own, but every other community around them. Every design that was created in Alicia's room was built with inspiration from work that was still on the walls and was already done, work that was still being built that was off to the side of the room, and work that was still just in their basic design forms on paper. And what I've come to realize is that one of the most important ingredients in inspiration is a community, because our ideas never stop with us. When a community is well put together and we feel safe around each other, that's when they can be motivated by each other to create not just a simple project with birds, but your own work, your own home. You change your life based upon those around us, and everybody changes their life around each other. We're all an interconnected species, creating one larger community with smaller sub-communities, creating our best friends and everywhere else. And giving that motivation to others to continue with their ideas. and a community that can help others be motivated. That is the foundation of a true community, somewhere that we can experience happiness and ideas and artwork and just be inspired to do more and better ourselves. Each day we can take in another artist's work, or another person's work, or another person's outfit and say, hey, that really inspired me to do this part of my work. But what really matters is when we can take a bit of time out of our day, just a few moments, and say, I'm going to do something that inspires others. And that's what helps us. As a famous writer, Talk-Galen said, the world always seems bright when you've just made something that wasn't there before. Thank you.